The woods had never seemed so still. Afternoon sunlight streamed through the tall pines, scattering golden spots across the forest floor, yet every beam felt colder than the last to Rowan Mercer. His heart hammered as he woke inside his tent and discovered a figure standing only a short distance away. It was his supervisor. The influential chief executive, who for months had treated him as if he hardly mattered, now stood silently watching him with a look Rowan had never witnessed. There was no fury, no command, only dread mixed with remorse. Before Rowan could respond, the man murmured 7 unforgettable words. "Remain still. I will clarify everything at dawn." Then he slipped back out, leaving Rowan motionless with questions that would alter his existence forever. Before we proceed with this memorable tale, pause to like this video, post a comment, share it with someone important to you. And subscribe to Storyverse Tales if you trust that compassion and second chances can reshape a life. Now the account begins. Rowan Mercer had never pictured his everyday desk job carrying him deep into a remote wilderness. At 29, he had constructed his days around diligence, integrity, and quiet resolve. He worked at one of the nation's most rapidly expanding environmental engineering firms, pouring countless hours into reports that usually bore another person's name instead of his own. His manager routinely ignored him, while advancement appeared reserved for bolder personalities skilled at impressing senior leaders. Rowan endured it, convinced that perseverance would one day be recognized. When the firm declared a 3-day leadership outing in the Highlands, most staff rejoiced at the chance to leave their cubicles. Rowan nearly refused. Large social gatherings had never suited him, and he anticipated spending the weekend lingering awkwardly at the margins of every discussion. Yet attendance was firmly recommended, and skipping it could damage his already uncertain prospects, so he packed his pack and boarded the company coach early Saturday. The journey into the mountains proved spectacular. Rolling green slopes gradually yielded to dense forests, clear streams, and far-off summits brushing the clouds. Colleagues laughed past snacks and snapped pictures through the windows. Rowan sat quietly, studying the landscape and questioning whether this excursion would differ from every previous company outing. His mind frequently turned to his superior, Adrian Holloway, a figure whose standing filled every corridor at the office. Adrian was admired for raising the company from nearly nothing, yet staff also spoke of him as remote, exacting, and difficult to interpret. Rowan had exchanged words with him only a few times, each exchange lasting under a minute. By midday, the coaches arrived at a spacious woodland campsite where bright tents already stood in orderly lines. Beyond the clearing, endless paths wound among ancient trees and glittering brooks. The crisp mountain air smelled of pine and moist soil, leaving everyone strangely buoyant. Group activities occupied the afternoon. Participants crossed rope bridges, solved outdoor riddles, and prepared food together on portable burners. Rowan joined quietly, assisting wherever possible without seeking notice. During one exercise, a sudden wind gust toppled several costly survey instruments near the river edge. While others paused, Rowan lunged forward and seized one case before it could slide into the current. Adrian happened to observe the instant. Their eyes locked briefly, and for the first time Rowan detected something unexpected. Instead of the usual cold, inscrutable face, Adrian appeared almost thankful. The expression vanished so swiftly Rowan questioned whether he had invented it. As the afternoon wore on, dark clouds collected suddenly above the peaks before drifting away without shedding a single drop. The odd weather left the forest unnaturally hushed. Even the birds seemed to vanish. A local ranger visited the camp to caution everyone to remain on marked paths because sections of the woodland had grown unstable after recent slides. Most dismissed the advice with laughter, yet Rowan heeded it. Nature always merited respect. Later, while gathering firewood for the evening assembly, Rowan strayed a short distance beyond the intended area and found an aged wooden cabin concealed behind thick vines. The windows were shattered, the roof sagged with years, and worn carvings covered the front porch. Something about the deserted structure felt disturbing, as if innumerable unfinished tales lingered inside its walls. Before he could examine further, another colleague called his name, and he returned to camp with an armful of limbs. Still, the picture of the forgotten cabin remained with him. As dusk arrived, the group assembled for supper beneath strings of hanging lanterns. Laughter rolled through the trees, while accounts of earlier company outings filled the night air. Rowan stayed at the circle's edge, satisfied simply to listen. Across the fire, Adrian seemed preoccupied. He scarcely ate and repeatedly looked toward the thick woods beyond the tents. His posture carried a burden that appeared entirely out of place amid the cheerful gathering. After the meal, the retreat leader declared that everyone should rest thoroughly because the following morning featured a demanding trek to a scenic viewpoint. Staff gradually entered their tents, conversations fading until only the noise of insects and shifting leaves remained. Rowan stayed awake longer than expected. Though weariness tugged at his body, a restless sensation refused to release him. The recollection of Adrian's troubled look and the puzzling abandoned cabin continued circling through his mind. Hours appeared to pass before Rowan at last sank into uneasy sleep. Then, sometime afterward, he detected the faint noise of footsteps outside his tent. At first he supposed another camper was merely returning late, yet the steps halted directly beside him, the zipper eased open slowly, a silhouette entered without a sound. Rowan opened his eyes and saw Adrian Holloway standing inside the tent, his features pale and strained despite the peaceful night surrounding them. For several endless moments neither shifted. Adrian glanced over his shoulder toward the opening as if confirming no one had trailed him. Then he leaned a fraction closer, his tone scarcely louder than the breeze stirring the trees. "Remain still, I will clarify everything at dawn." Before Rowan could pose a single question, Adrian quietly withdrew, leaving the tent precisely as he had entered it. Rowan hurried to the opening and scanned the moonlit campsite, but his superior had already disappeared among the towering pines. The forest stood silent once more. Yet Rowan understood with complete certainty that when daylight returned, nothing in his ordinary existence would ever remain unchanged. In the following message, I will continue the account with the secret behind Adrian's midnight appearance, the concealed reality inside the abandoned cabin, and the stirring events that reshape both men,